Have you ever looked into a man's eyes and quietly asked yourself, is this love or just desire dressed in tenderness? Because sometimes a hug can make you feel safe, and sometimes that same hug leaves you feeling empty. Love and desire can look identical on the surface, just one gaze apart. A whisper of "I love you" doesn't always come from love, and even a gentle touch can be born from craving, not connection. We think we know the difference, but even the strongest women, intelligent, independent, deeply intuitive, can lose themselves in something that feels like love, until they realize they were holding on to thirst, not a heart. Carl Jung once said, "Love is not a pleasant feeling. It's the meeting of two souls, unguarded, unmasked, unperformed. True love begins when neither of you needs to impress anymore. When you can sit together in silence without pretending, without performing, without shrinking to be loved. That's when you feel it. He doesn't just want me, he sees me, the cracks, the softness, the parts you've tried to hide, and he doesn't look away. But still, how do you know for sure? How do you tell when a hug comes from the heart or from instinct? How many times have you believed it was love, only to find yourself crying alone in the dark? How many times have you whispered, "Why does he feel so close? Yet I've never felt so alone." This video isn't here to judge. It's here to help you see clearly, to feel deeply, to love yourself truthfully. With 7 unconscious signs based on Jungian depth psychology, we'll begin a different kind of journey, not just to recognize real love, but to return to something even more important, your own inner knowing. Because the real question isn't just, does he love you, but rather, are you betraying yourself just to hold on to something that was never truly yours? If you've ever felt broken by someone who said, "I love you," but disappeared when you needed them most, then these next few minutes may be the turning point your heart has been waiting for. So don't leave early. By the end of this video, you may not only see him more clearly, you may finally hear the quiet voice within you that's been speaking all along. Ask yourself, is real love present in his eyes? Or am I just a beautiful dream he never intended to wake up for? If you're ready to face the truth, let's begin. A man who truly loves you is not the one who says you're everything to me when passion runs high. It's the one who in the quietest moments still places you at the center of his world. Not with loud words, but with small, consistent actions. And to him, your joy isn't a reward. It's the whole reason. There's an invisible line between a man who wants you to satisfy himself and a man who stays because your happiness makes his heart whole. Desire asks, what can I get? A touch, control, a moment of conquest. But love asks, are you okay? Am I moving at your pace? Where is your joy right now? Carl Jung once said, true love is the union of ego and the unconscious. When a man stops chasing self-gratification and starts acting from connection. The man who truly loves you doesn't rush. He doesn't manipulate. He doesn't use your body as a shortcut to satisfaction. Instead, he listens to your body like it's an extension of his own. He remembers what makes you smile. He touches your shoulder gently right when you need grounding. And he's present not only in peak moments, but in the soft, slow rhythm of connection. Have you ever met someone like that? A man who didn't need techniques, who just looked into your eyes and knew when to pause. A man who didn't move forward because he wanted, but slowed down because you needed to be heard. The one who only desired you. He was in a hurry. He didn't notice your silence. He assumed your lack of no meant yes. He touched your body, but never truly arrived in your soul. Desire is fast, goal-oriented, grabbing. It makes you feel like you're performing, like you're being measured, compared, pushed. But love is slow, gentle. It doesn't force. It doesn't need you to match its rhythm. It just needs you to feel safe being yourself. Jung said, "Where love rules, there is no will to power." A man who loves you doesn't need to prove anything. He doesn't try to win, because for him, seeing you happy is already the reward. He doesn't play the game. He creates a space with you where both of you can feel free. And here's the most beautiful part. Those gestures, they're not learned. They're not rehearsed. They're unconscious responses from a man who has awakened his anima, his inner feminine. The part of him where empathy and true connection live. So when you're with a man, don't just listen to what he says. Watch how he listens without needing words. Notice. Does he pause when you're unsure? Does he touch you with his whole heart or just his instinct? And most of all, does he treat your joy as the center of connection or just a bonus for saying yes? Because a man who truly loves you will never make your agreement the condition for his joy. He will wait, not because you're a prize, but because love doesn't know how to rush. If this touched something inside you, if your heart paused just for a second, it means you're coming home to yourself. Leave a comment, "I choose the kind of love that listens," or "I am worthy of slow, deep, real love." And if you want to walk deeper into this journey of healing and awakening, subscribe and turn on the bell. Because every video here is not just psychology. It's a mirror reflecting your path back to who you were always meant to be. There is a moment, often forgotten, but it reveals everything. It's not when he pulls you close, not when the passion rises, not even when he whispers how much he wants you. No, it's the moment right after, when the breath slows, when there's nothing left to prove, nothing left to touch, nothing to possess. What does he do when it's over? That moment after intimacy is the clearest mirror of a man's emotional maturity. Because once the high fades, once the hunger quiets, what remains isn't heat, isn't skill. It's either love or emptiness. A man driven only by pleasure. He'll withdraw. He might turn his back, reach for his phone, slip out of bed, say nothing, just vanish, leaving you surrounded by silence, yet feeling utterly alone. But the man who truly loves you, he'll stay. Not out of obligation, not out of politeness, but because his soul wants to remain close. He wants to stay in that space of connection just a little longer. To be with you, not just with his body, but with his heart and his soul. Carl Jung once spoke of this as the withdrawal of the ego. The moment the ego no longer needs to perform, no longer needs to dominate, no longer needs to appear strong. It's where his truest self shows up. And in that silence, you'll know. Are you lying next to a man, or just a shadow passing through your life? Even biology tells a story. In casual encounters driven by pleasure, dopamine spikes, then crashes. And with it, connection disappears. You feel it. Coldness, distance, the ache of being touched, but not seen. But in true love, his body releases oxytocin and vasopressin, the hormones of trust and bonding. He wants to stay, hold you longer, touch you softly, not to lead to the next thing, but just to be with you, in quiet, in truth, in love. Have you ever laid next to someone and felt like you were lying there, alone? Have you ever felt more empty after being close than you did before it even started? If yes, trust that feeling. Your body doesn't lie. It knows when it's being loved and when it's just being used. Jung said, "Loneliness does not come from being alone, but from being unable to share what truly matters with the one beside you." You can be next to a man and still feel like you've never been truly seen, never truly touched where it matters most. The man who loves you, he won't leave when the pleasure fades. He'll stay to hold the fragile part of you, and sometimes even his own. In that moment, no fancy gestures, no perfect words, no promises needed. Just one thing, real presence. Because true love doesn't walk away when the climax ends. It stays. And in that quiet, you'll know he stayed because he loves. If you've ever felt hollow after being close to someone, drop a comment, "I deserve to be loved, not just touched." And if you're ready to see more signs of real love, subscribe now, so you never miss the next chapter. Have you ever laid next to someone and felt your breath sinking with theirs without needing to say a word? No instructions, no pressure to do it right, just a quiet merging, as if two souls had finally found each other again after a very long time apart. Some connections in life don't begin with words. They don't require explanation. They simply happen. You shift, he shifts with you. You breathe in, he breathes with you. Before you even whisper you want to be held, he's already holding you. Not because he's reading your mind, but because you are in rhythm. In psychology, this is called limbic resonance, when two nervous systems begin to speak without words, a silent harmony between heartbeats, between breaths. You don't have to explain what you need, because his body already hears what you haven't spoken yet. Carl Jung described this as the living expression of an archetype when two soul fragments reunite after lifetimes of forgetting. In many ancient traditions, real love wasn't about dating, marrying, and settling down. It was about remembering, one soul recognizing another as something once known, something that once belonged. When that happens, you don't have to learn to connect. You've been connected all along. With a man who's only driven by desire, everything feels programmed, predictable, performed. A touch that's timed, a move that's practiced, a moment that feels empty. He might do everything right, yet somehow you feel out of sync with your own body. Your breath goes unheard. Your tremble goes unnoticed. You are there, yet you feel alone. But with a man who truly loves you, he doesn't try to lead. He doesn't pull away either. He flows with you, like two rivers, becoming one. No rush, no resistance, only wholeness. Have you ever felt like you didn't have to match someone's pace? That just breathing was enough to feel safe, to feel seen, or the opposite? Have you ever been next to someone, and even as they touched you, you felt more disconnected than when you were alone? That kind of unconscious resonance can't be practiced, can't be faked, can't be learned from a touch technique online. It only appears when two people remove every mask, every agenda, every ego, and choose to show up as their real selves, unfiltered, undefended. When that happens, every touch is no longer about excitement. It becomes a kind of remembering. Every breath is no longer about survival, but about sharing life. Together, you and him are no longer just two people. You are two parts of a song once written together long, long ago. So if you're wondering, is this real love? Take a moment. Step out of your head and into your body. It knows. It always knows. It speaks the oldest language there is resonance, because real love doesn't need to be loud to be true. Sometimes it's quiet, just two breaths, falling into the same rhythm, for no reason but love. If you've ever laid beside someone and felt understood, just by breathing, leave a comment. I've felt resonance deeper than words. And if you're longing to find that again, not through rush, not through technique, but through truth, hit subscribe and keep walking with me on this journey. The kind of love we're searching for doesn't need effort to be real. It just needs us to be honest enough to receive it. Real love doesn't only show up when you're beautiful, when you're glowing, when you're soft and agreeable. The real question is, who stays? When you're unraveling, when you're exhausted, when you're not at your best. It's easy to love a woman when she's radiant, when she says all the right things, when her smile is effortless. But let's be honest, women aren't always like that. Not every day. There are days you feel empty. There are moments you just want to be held without needing to explain. And there are seasons you don't even recognize yourself. So ask yourself, does he still stay when you're not the easy-to-love version of you? When you go quiet, when you're angry, when you need time just for you, when you stop pleasing, when you say no, when you stop shining, the way he once adored, a man who only wants you will slowly fade. When you stop entertaining, when you pull away, when you don't follow his lead, when you no longer match the fantasy he built around you. Desire loves only what makes it feel good. Love loves even what's not yet healed. Carl Jung once said, "The shadow must be faced, not denied." Real love doesn't vanish when you enter your darkness. It stays. It holds you through it. The man who truly loves you won't be afraid of the parts you're still learning to love. He won't love only the calm, agreeable you. He'll love the whole of you. Your light, your storms, your growth, your mess. Have you ever met a man who loved your smile but went quiet when you cried? A man who showed up when you were full of energy, but disappeared when you fell apart? If you have, that wasn't love. That was convenience. That was someone loving how it feels to be loved, not loving you. The man who truly loves you won't flinch when you're too much. He won't punish you for needing space. He won't walk away just because you're not ready to open up. Because to him, you don't have to be okay to be worthy of love. Real love is steady. It doesn't shift with your moods. It doesn't disappear in chaos. It becomes the place you return to, even when you've lost yourself. So ask the one beside you, will you stay? When I'm not easy to love, if the answer is yes, then maybe, just maybe, you've touched a kind of love that isn't afraid of your broken pieces. Because real love doesn't come to pick the prettiest parts of you. It comes to hold you, even when you're falling apart. It comes quietly, to remind you, you are still lovable. Even now, even here, even when it's hard to be. If you've ever pulled away thinking you were too much to love, Leave a comment. I deserve to be loved even in my imperfect moments. And if this video helped you see your relationship, past or present, more clearly, hit subscribe. You're not alone on this journey back to truth, healing, and the kind of love that stays even when you don't shine. A man can hold your hand tightly for one beautiful evening, but the real question is, will he stay to build something with you? Or did he just build a moment and vanish? Some relationships begin like fireworks. Everything explodes. It burns bright. It feels alive. But like fireworks, it fades because nothing was built. Only emotions, no foundation. And you're left wondering, how could he seem so sure in the beginning and now it's all gone? Desire lives in the moment. Real love lives across time. A man driven by desire will focus on the now. Sweet evenings, quick messages, intense sparks, but no talk of tomorrow, no mention of weathering storms, no real plan to grow together. But the man who truly loves you sees you in the long-term view. He doesn't run when conversations get hard. He doesn't panic when you ask, "What are we? What do you see? 6 months from now, are we moving towards something real?" Carl Jung called this spiritual transformation, when love moves beyond impulse and becomes a conscious act, a decision, repeated, chosen again and again, not just for someone else, but also for yourself. So ask yourself, is he building something with me or just dropping by when it's convenient? Does he stay after a hard conversation? Does he hear my future plans and actually try to fit into them? Or is he only present when it's easy, when things feel good? The one just passing through, avoids commitment talk, goes quiet when things get serious, says, "Let's just go with the flow." But that flow keeps you guessing, keeps you waiting, keeps you in limbo. The one building with you may not be perfect, but he's present. He's willing to talk. Even if he's scared, he doesn't run. Even if he's unsure, he knows you deserve to be included in the future he's trying to create. You don't need grand promises or perfect timelines, but you deserve to feel, I'm not being held temporarily. I'm being chosen. I'm not a stop along the way. I'm the road he wants to walk with. Jung once wrote, "Love demands one thing, maturity. Not maturity to hold it all together, but maturity to understand this truth. Desire touches your body. Real love touches your future. So if you're in a relationship now, listen closely to what's not being said and ask honestly, is he building something with me or just resting here a while? Real love doesn't promise a perfect journey, but it won't disappear when you ask for clarity. Because the man who truly loves you isn't just here because today feels good. He stays because he sees you and a future with you in it. If what you have feels stuck in the present with no real sense of future, leave a comment, I deserve a love with vision. And if this video helped you realize whether you're building or just being held in place, hit subscribe to keep walking this journey. The journey of choosing real love. The kind that stays. The kind that builds with you. Not just for now, but for what's next. Real love doesn't ask you to shrink to fit someone else's life. It doesn't demand you become smaller, quieter, easier. Real love makes you feel safe to expand, to stretch out, to grow, to breathe fully in your own skin. Have you ever loved someone and noticed the longer you stayed, the less of yourself remained? Fewer real laughs, fewer honest thoughts, less freedom inside your own soul. No matter how sweet that love seemed, if you couldn't breathe in it, it wasn't a place you were meant to stay. The man who truly loves you won't try to take over your inner world. He'll open space within it, so you can exhale, so you can hear your own voice again, so you can live more fully as yourself. He doesn't rise by making you feel small. He doesn't need you to perform to be worthy. He doesn't love you only when you're pretty peaceful pleasing. Carl Jung once wrote, "No one can walk your path for you, but someone can walk it beside you." Real love doesn't trap you in roles. It doesn't place silent rules that make you afraid of being too much or not enough. It's the kind of space where you can take a deep breath and know, I don't have to pretend here. I don't have to work to make him stay. I can just be me, and that's enough. So ask yourself, when you're with him, do you feel calm or do you feel tense? Do you feel truly heard or do you have to fight just to be understood? Do you feel free to be messy, moody, unsure without fear of being left? Love that makes you shrink. You second-guess every word. You edit every text. You tiptoe around your truth, afraid you'll break something by being honest. Love that lets you expand. You laugh too loudly, and he still smiles. You cry without needing to explain. You fall silent, and still, you are loved. Wrong love doesn't just hurt. It disconnects you from yourself. Bit by bit, you lose little pieces of your being. Until one day, you no longer recognize who you are. But right love doesn't just hold on to you. It guides you back home to yourself. The clearest sign of real love is not how often he says, "I love you." It's this: you no longer feel afraid that being fully yourself will make him walk away. No more acting. No more picking your cutest version. No more softening your edges just to be accepted. Just you. Raw, honest, sometimes messy, sometimes radiant. And still, he stays. Because real love never asks you to fold in on yourself. It invites you to open, gently, boldly, fully. If you've ever felt the need to shrink just to be loved, leave a comment, "I deserve to be loved as I am." And if this message helped you recognize something in your relationship or in yourself, hit subscribe to keep walking this healing journey toward the kind of love that doesn't dim your light, but lets you shine. You don't need to feel ashamed for loving the wrong person. It wasn't a failure. It was a sign that you've been ignoring your inner voice for too long. We've all given our hearts to people who didn't know how to hold them. Not because we're foolish, but because we craved love so deeply. We forgot to ask, am I loving because I'm full, or because I'm hoping to be filled? Carl Jung once said, "You are what you do not, what you say you'll do." And it's the same in love. We may say we deserve a kind and steady love. But if we keep choosing half-hearted people, if we keep forgiving silence that repeats itself, if we keep accepting less than what we give, then deep down, our heart still doesn't believe we're worthy of real, wholehearted love. Pause and ask yourself, is the way I live drawing in the wrong kind of love? Am I loving myself the way I want someone else to love me? Am I holding myself before asking someone else to do it for me? In Jungian psychology, there's a concept called individuation, the journey of returning to your whole authentic self, where you no longer need someone to feel complete, where you stop chasing your other half, because you no longer believe you are missing one. Real love is not a reward for being good enough. It doesn't come because you're sweet, beautiful, or endlessly patient. It only arrives when you become someone you would love too. And when you finally touch that fullness inside, you won't be drawn to the kind of love that leaves you empty. You won't stay patient with people who make you question your worth. You'll stop begging to be chosen because you've already chosen yourself. Love doesn't come like a sudden rainstorm, soaking your skin for a moment, then leaving with the sun. It comes like a quiet fire, gentle, steady, warming the parts of you you once thought no one could ever reach. And that fire doesn't start in someone else. It starts in you. The one who truly loves you won't make you doubt, won't make you check your phone in fear, won't make you ask, am I asking for too much? Am I good enough to make him stay? Because real love is clear. It doesn't need grand promises. It doesn't make you shrink. You feel it in the silence, in the presence, in the peace. If you're in a relationship where you have to perform just to feel enough, shrink to feel safe, pretend to feel lovable, maybe what you need isn't another man. Maybe what you need is a return to yourself. Real love isn't here to rescue you. It's here to reflect the light you've already lit within. And you'll know it's real when you no longer need to sacrifice your truth to keep it. So before you ask, does he really love me? Pause and ask instead, do I love myself enough to stop settling for less? If these words spoke to your heart, share in the comments, I choose me before anyone else. And if you're ready to keep walking this path toward healing, clarity, and true love, hit subscribe. The kind of love you long for starts from within, and it always begins with you. If any part of this video made you pause, even for just a breath, if a certain moment tightened your chest or stirred something deep inside, if you found yourself asking, where am I in my own love story, then maybe this isn't just a video. Maybe this is a place to pause, to come home, to begin again. We just walked through 8 signs of real love, not to test a man, not to measure his worth, but to turn inward, to ask ourselves, am I loving with awareness? Am I choosing someone? Or am I learning to choose myself? Carl Jung once wrote, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Love works the same way. If you don't name what's real, you'll keep choosing what hurts and call it destiny. But once you begin to see clearly, you stop holding on to what was never meant for you. You stop chasing what keeps running. You start recognizing when love finally comes home. If this video brought someone to mind, if you feel you've ignored your own intuition for too long, don't judge yourself. No one taught us how to love consciously from the start, but you can begin now, right here, from this breath. You're not alone on this path. There are thousands of women just like you who've once loved blindly, who tried so hard to be whole enough for someone else, while silently starving for respect, for honesty, for true presence. But you can choose differently now. Not because you're stronger than before, but because you're starting to see yourself more clearly, in the glance that says nothing but means everything, in the space between moments where you're either seen or forgotten, in how he stays after intimacy, in whether his breath aligns with yours, in how he holds you when you're fragile, in whether he's building something real by your side, in the space where you feel free to be you. And in the final lesson, you must love yourself first before anyone else can meet you there. Because every sign, every pattern, every ache, they are mirrors, reflecting what you truly believe you deserve. And one day, you'll finally understand. Real love isn't something you chase to hold on to. It's the space that lets you stop running. The moment you pause and choose yourself again. Real love isn't magic. It's awakening. It begins the moment you say, I'm no longer staying where I have to shrink to fit. So if you remember only one thing from everything you've heard today, let it be this. The one who truly loves you will help you fall deeper in love with yourself. Not with promises, but with presence, with stillness, with peace that needs no explanation. If you feel this journey is yours to take, leave a comment, I choose to come home to myself. And if you want a space where you're never judged, never asked to be strong all the time, where you can listen inward and know you're not alone, hit subscribe. Because every week you deserve a place to return to, a pause, a breath, a reminder. You are not walking this path alone.